Hello and welcome to EllieMD's live educational series. We are so glad you guys are here to join us. I'd like to say at EllieMD, we're on a mission to support healthier, longer lives through expert-led education, innovation, and community. We go beyond telehealth to bring you meaningful conversations that empower whole body wellness. Today, we're excited to welcome Dr. Skye Davis. Welcome, a certified naturopathic doctor, certified nutritional consultant, and licensed massage therapist. Dr. Skye brings a bold, result driven approach to wellness. She's known for her vibrant energy, no nonsense coaching style, and ability to help clients reignite their vitality through naturopathy, personalized nutrition, and peptide therapy. With decades of experience, her signature North Star to Wellness program blends customized testing, intuitive support, and holistic strategy to guide people towards long-term transformation inside and out. Dr. Skye, one of our own, part of our community, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, honey. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, thank you for being here. So, can you please share a little more about yourself and how did you become interested in natural medicine? How long you've been doing it? Just start from the beginning and tell us a little about yourself and your journey.
Okay, well, thank you for asking. I started this journey long ago. I was really inspired by a illness, well, the resolution of an illness a long time ago. Let's go back to my teen years. I was 16 years old and I had this horrible sore throat. I could barely swallow my own saliva, eat food. I couldn't go to school. It was a very scary time. And my mother took me to all the conventional doctors, did all the testing, all the medications, and nothing was working. Thankfully, she had the insight to take me to a classical homeopath. And I just remember that visit being very different than the conventional model of they started to ask me things like, how was I sleeping and what was my home life? I even got asked what were my dreams like. And I just remember sitting there thinking, this is very interesting and very different. And the homeopath educated me and he said, if the remedy is for you and going to help you heal, you'll get worse before you get better. And it took two remedies, but the second remedy, I absolutely felt horrible. I felt worse. But the very next day, I started to heal, and within a few days, I was completely okay again. That was kind of the first awakening experience to understanding that our bodies have this innate healing power and how much really healing can be a miracle and it can be very fast. And with the right support, the body can heal. It has that ability. So that was kind of the start of that questioning of what's really out there and what could I tap into to help other people like myself that felt completely hopeless. And here I was able to heal. And that was really the beginning of, wanting to learn more. I ended up going to, well, I studied a year in Italy. My host parents were physical therapists, and I was watching them with their patients, and it was very inspiring to me. When I was a little girl, me and my best friends, well, my one best friend, I remember always wanting to like, let's do exchange foot massages. So I always loved that touch therapy and the human body. So I ended up going to massage therapy school, learned all the things about, anatomy and physiology and Reiki and cranial sacral. And I was just absolutely fascinated by all those modalities. But as I got into that practice, I kept seeing the same issues recircling. And I thought, well, I think healing is more from the inside out. So then I went to study nutritional therapy. I ended up moving to Hawaii with my family. And in Hawaii, I started a coconut kefir business, healing from the inside out with my daughter's father. And the coconut kefir helped to heal the gut. And I really was inspired by nutritional therapy, started seeing clients there. And I always had this thought that naturopaths were like the coolest thing. They knew so many different modalities. So I always had that intention to be a naturopath. So after my daughter was born and I had a little bit more support with her, I decided to finish school as a naturopath. And so I kept collecting more tools in my toolkit. And fast forward to today, I have a beautiful clinic in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, as a naturopathic doctor in my community. I absolutely love what I do. I specialize now in longevity, women's health, and mystery illnesses. So, I mean, I could go on. I feel like God gives us all a gift. That was thunder. Wow. We're dealing with some weather here. I feel like God gives us all a gift, and my gift, where I thought I would become a detective, I'm now a health detective. So I get to really help people to understand how their body needs to heal and the tools they can use to get there.
That's beautiful. What a journey. What a journey and what a gift that you have. Uh, for individuals that aren't necessarily or they're new to naturopathic medicine, can you explain how that differs from conventional medicine?
Yeah, so conventional medicine versus traditional is what I call it. Traditional medicine, actually, naturopathy is one of the oldest natural modalities. Chiropractics, osteopaths, acupuncturists, all of those used to be under naturopathy. And so it's been around for thousands of years. And conventional medicine's really only been around for a few hundred years. Naturopathy focuses on helping the body's innate wisdom to heal and regain the vital force. I don't heal people. I help people to get those resources and tools they can heal themselves. And with conventional therapy, we're depending on symptom management. And also, conventional therapy really has two tools. They have medications or script pads and surgeries, whereas a naturopath or traditional practitioners have thousands of different modalities because I truly feel like everybody is an individual. And so, what works for one person isn't going to work for someone else. And also, as a naturopath, we have to discover why the body is not well. And it's usually because of a deficiency in an essential nutrient, like a vitamin, a mineral, or an essential fatty acid, or an amino acid. We know about those. Or we have toxicity. So that would be heavy metals. Unfortunately, we have 85,000 chemicals in our country that have not been tested for safety. So we have chemicals, we have heavy metals, we have organisms like parasites and bacteria and yeast. And so as a naturopath, I have to uncover to see what is it that they're lacking and what is it they have in the body that needs to come out so that their body can regain health. And I will say, one of the biggest things that people need to understand is just because you don't have any symptoms doesn't necessarily mean you have great health. So it goes much further. We want to become superhuman and also focus on our longevity so that we can, right, live long and healthy lives and be there for our families and not be a burden to our families. I think it's truly the biggest gift we can give our family is taking care of ourselves.
Mm. It sounds to me like it's more of a root cause approach versus symptom management in a way. And it's optimizing the body. Am I getting this correctly? That this is
Yeah,
what
absolutely. It's definitely root cause. And I will say the biggest difference, and I love the conventional community. They save lives every day. I appreciate them. If you have an emergency, you need to go to the hospital, you need to go to the ER. But when it comes to chronic health, it is so important to get to the root cause. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to them, but I truly feel like they're not the best with chronic issues. And unfortunately, it's really the system that's broken, not the doctors. not equipped and don't have the time to handle chronic cases.
So, just for my own personal education, when would I see a naturopathic doctor versus a conventional doctor? When would I go to one or the other?
If you have an emergency, honey, definitely go to the
Okay.
hospital or the ER. If you have a chronic
Okay.
condition, come on into my office. I'll be happy to
Okay.
take care of you.
Okay. All right. I love that. Well, thank you
I will
for
say
educating us.
one thing I want to mention is I see a lot of folks that come in that have, I call it the merry-go-round, where they've gone to different specialists after specialists, doctor after doctor. And unfortunately, the wait times are becoming even increasingly long. People can't get in, even with like cancer and these very aggressive diseases. Well, naturopathy, and again, go to those therapies when it's needed. As if there's a aggressive case, absolutely. There is again a place for each of those modalities. But with a naturopath, we can actually address all the systems. So on one visit, we can check all the systems of the body. And so we specialize in all the systems and many, many different modalities. So you don't need to go to so many different people to get, a lot of your symptoms handled with one provider.
Mm. It sounds like in traditional medicine, there's a lot more emphasis on pharmacology, perhaps. Is that where you would see the two disciplines when you're in school and getting educated? It seems like you are educated on a lot of the similar modalities, but I don't know, maybe just touch on that briefly and then we could
Well, conventional doctors are trained in drugs, right? And symptom management. That's what they're trained in. And you can ask any doctor, any medical doctor, they'll confirm that they have no education in nutrition. They actually have to seek that out on their own. So it doesn't make sense if you're dealing with a digestive issue or some type of nutritional deficiency, which leads to a host of many hundred different symptoms. Why go to a person that can't ultimately help you to heal from that? So again, they have their place, but with a naturopath, we work with nutrition, we work with herbs, vitamins, cleanses, detoxes, we work with water therapy, sun therapy. I mean, we work with basically anything from nature we use in our toolbox to assist the body to heal. So there's a lot of different modalities, and that's just not the training that the conventional model, focuses on at all.
well, thank you. We're an educational platform, and I love
Yeah,
educating our community on what else is out there, right? Because
yeah.
I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this entire community of naturopath doctors, and I have seen one, and it's been life-changing in so many ways. So thank you for sharing that with us. Now, can you share with us what are a few simple discipline practiced every day that you believe make the biggest difference in long-term health?
Oh, but what a good question. Well, I love this article right here. Let me grab it. Oh, right here. This is a great article I educate my clients on, and it says 141 reasons sugar ruins your health. Sugar is one of the biggest destroyers of our health, and unfortunately, it is in absolutely everything. If you're not turning your food over, in other words, when you're shopping, if you're not turning over that package and looking at the back, you're doing yourself a disservice because it most likely has sugar. 90 plus percent, I would say 95% of everything in the grocery store is poisonous. So we have to become our own advocate, our own detectives, and put on that or grab our magnifying glasses and start to really be proactive about what we're consuming, especially if it's in a package. So always look at the ingredients, and the front giveth, the back taketh away. So this is a great article. This is from Nancy Appleton. She's a PhD, and this is from her book, Suicide by Sugar. And so I would definitely be intentional about what you put in your cart. Avoid sugar and avoid refined flour, because one of the things I want to touch on is drainage. Our bodies are so plugged up. Most people think that, going poop, I'm sorry, we talk about poop in my office quite a bit. It's as an essential part of human health is that we need to get rid of the waste that we're eating and being exposed to. And so, an important thing is making sure you're not eating sugar foods, refined flour, because, honey, if you combined water and flour together, what would it make?
Dough, right? In a way,
Yeah,
mushy,
it
gushy.
would make a dough and then it would harden, right? And then it would become like a hard paste. Or people make like in kindergarten, you make like creatures, little figures. My point being that when you eat that flour, it's getting caked into your colon and your small intestine. And that is really where your nutrition is absorbed through your 70 trillion cells. So making sure your drainage pathways are open, making sure you're having, a good bowel movement every day, making sure you're tending to your liver and biliary system, which brings me to a point. Every single client that comes through my office, I have them take a system survey. And this is a 212 question survey that surveys all the systems in the body. And do you want to know what is on the top of the stress list every time, honey?
Nah, I would love to know. What is it?
I brought some examples. So it is always, and we've done hundreds of these, it's always liver and biliary, right? So the liver is such an important organ. We really need to take care of our livers. It has 500 functions and it filters everything that we consume, all the medications, all the food, everything in the environment. It has to filter it and make sure it's safe for our bodies. It is under major stress. And
Mm.
I brought you a couple, if you can see. So it's on the top of the list with this one is sympathetic dominance, which everybody is stressed out right now, right? We live in a very stressful state. And then digestive is third on the list. This is another example. I just gave you some examples. We could go on, but biliary and liver at the top of the list, digestive, and then sugar handling. And then the last one, again, biliary, sugar, and digestive. So my other tip, honey, is we have to take care of our livers. We have to, support our liver and our bile and make sure that we're supporting our detoxification organs and, a liver cleanse twice a year. That's why I love the glutathione because it's a great way to really help the liver to clean itself out so that we can be in, great health and get rid of those toxins that we're exposed to. I mean, most women are exposed to over 160 chemicals before they leave the house for work, just from their beauty products. So you can imagine our bodies are constantly having to buffer all of these toxins, and we need a way to get them out of our system. So refined sugar, refined flour, opening up drainage. Fourth one, honey, is making sure you're drinking clean water. Um, Guys, the filter on your fridge is not enough, especially in
Mm.
Wisconsin. We live in a high radium area, and that is the bone seeker. I'm not trying to put fear in you guys, but this is something that's really important because we need water to survive, and we do recommend you drink water, but a lot of people are drinking poisonous water, and that's a lot of times why they don't even want to drink the water because it's actually poisonous because it has these chemical chemicals and pesticides and pharmaceuticals. So get yourself invest in a good water filter. Reverse osmosis, distilled, are my two favorites. But make sure that you're getting a good water system or having water delivered. And the fifth one is have a community around you. So, so important to have a community. Never feel alone. Loneliness is worse than smoking 2 packs a day. It really is so bad, and that's why I think really the pandemic really hurt so many people, which is why I love EllieMD. I mean, this is such a beautiful community, honey, that you're creating for us, so that especially as we're going through these really hard journeys, like health journeys are difficult and they're hard, and it's really important that we have people around us to hold our hands, to make, just to do it with us and have that education too, to understand what we're going through and see what we need to do as an individual to help, essentially make the journey as easy as we can. So those are my five things.
Oh, thank you. And I agree. We have such a beautiful community. I love the community first approach because you're right. It's critical to our longevity, our health, and thank you for touching on that. You mentioned digestion, and I'd love for you to touch on the gut microbiome and the gut brain connection. I mean, we call the gut the second brain. Some people would even argue and say it's a primary brain that works with the secondary brain up here. So, can you touch on that and tell us what role does the gut brain connection play in overall health from a naturopathic perspective?
Mhm. Great question, honey. Yeah. We can't even begin to understand, not even the best scientists in the whole wide world can understand the ecology of our guts. I mean, it's like, think of like the most beautiful Amazon jungle and just times it by like a million, because we have so many species in our gut and in our body. We're mostly organisms. We think we're just, this person, but we are made up of so many different organisms. And our gut is the place where we take in the outside into our gut. So it's just a place that also, again, the nutrition is absorbed, our food, which is, critical to our health and feeds all of our cells. Also, our B vitamins and our immune system is in our gut. So again, it comes back to if our gut is clogged up. I work with an MD. She spent quite a few years doing X-rays actually over the pelvis area. We were talking a lot about, and I do a lot of detox programs here. And she was saying, even though people thought they were, not constipated, they actually were because she'd see it on an X-ray. So again, when the gut is clogged up, it's going to affect every cell in the body, and that, of course, affects our brain. And one of the biggest things I noticed on the GLP-1, the very next day, actually, that I took my first injection, is I noticed my gut, my stomach was 30% at least less, I call it when I started depuffing, because we have the GLP-1 in our gut. And I think those amazing miracle messengers went into work right away and they started healing the gut. And if we have inflammation in the gut, honey, we're going to have inflammation everywhere, especially in the brain. And so I can see that one of the biggest differences is my mood. So I just think these miracle molecules, is what I call them, have been going to work to help my body to communicate more efficiently. And so absolutely the gut is a huge part of our health and we have to take care of it. And I do really think that is so much to do again with the liver, biliary, and the gut. Um,
Right. And we have so many neurotransmitters that are produced in the gut. I don't know, 90 something percent of our serotonin, which is the happy
mhm.
chemical in our body, is
Right.
produced in the gut. Um, yeah, it's imperative to take care of that. Right. And I do know, I mean, maybe you could touch on this that, bacteria and yeast compete for resources, right? So if you have an overgrowth of candida or yeast that is produced, there's neurotoxins that's a byproduct of candida. Maybe do you want to touch on yeast a little bit, or are we going?
We can't
Are
not have
we?
a discussion about candida.
Yes.
I love talking about candida because it plagues most women. I would say 70% of women that come in have a form of candida. I will say, in the last few years, I've really started looking at things in a little bit of a different perspective based on a lot of the science and clinicians in the longevity space that specialize in detox. And what they said, and what makes sense to me, is these organism yeast overgrows when the body becomes toxic because yeast and parasites, they're driven by the terrain. So if we have a clean terrain, then these organisms don't have a place to feed on and they don't have a purpose. So, you know, again, it leads back to the toxicity. And I mean, and yes, yeast does have essentially it has a byproduct that it will, it eats things in our body and then it kind of poops out something that is toxic for us. And so do parasites and, bacteria and things. So yeah, absolutely. Yeast is certainly essential, but I'll give you a real clinical tip here, honey. You cannot handle yeast without handling heavy metals and chemicals. You're just going to have perpetuate the same cycle. The yeast is going to come back over and over if you don't handle the toxicity in the body. And again, that goes back to the liver and the gut, getting that out of the system and the other drainage, right? The lymphatic system. And a lot of people love to do like the dry brushing and helping to stimulate those. There's a lot of different things that we can do.
I know this wasn't planned to talk about. We didn't plan to talk about yeast, but we don't talk enough
Okay.
about yeast. We talk about the gut microbiome and so forth, but not enough is mentioned about candida and yeast. How do we know there is an overgrowth of yeast in our body? What are
hmm
the symptoms? Is it like brain fog? Like, how would we know?
Well, there's
And what do we
actually
do to treat it?
Yeah, no, a great question. Well, yeast can manifest in over 200 symptoms. So it could be if you're feeling extra emotion, like, why am I feeling really triggered by them? Why am I feeling overly emotional? Or why am I having joint pain? Or why am I bloated all the time? Or why am I depressed? Or why there's just so many. It's linked to thyroid issues. It's linked to skin stuff. Like, why do I have this rash that won't go away? And so, it's a single cell organism that reproduces asexually. So it can keep growing and it starts in the gut, but then it can become systemic. And so then it gets into the bloodstream. And again, inflammation is certainly going to be caused by candida and also other organisms like parasites and bacteria and viruses. But what can be done? Diet is huge. Getting off the sugar and the flour
Mm.
and keeping our stress levels, our nervous systems in check, not having those people in our lives that might be causing us stress, learning how to say no, recolonizing our gut microbiome. I am a big fan of the GLP-1s for this. I know there's a lot of fear around, oh, it's going to slow digestion, but I've had completely the opposite where my gut has felt better than it's had in decades. I mean, my stomach's flat like before I had my daughter. So I feel like I just feel that these organisms are there for a reason, and we have to, again, you were asking about the root cause, like why are these organisms in the terrain, and what can we do to clean out our beautiful vessel? And it's like I want my body to be like a waterfall and not a swampy, pond
Mhm.
where it smells and there's weird creatures underneath. And so when we have that beautiful waterfall, when the water comes in, down and through, those organisms aren't going to have a place. So again, that comes down to making sure our pathways are open, making sure that we're not, eating foods that are going to feed these organisms and doing regular detoxes. So heavy metal chemical detoxes, liver support, taking care of ourselves in the best way. Again, having that community, learning what we need to heal ourselves. And it's
Mm.
an exciting process because there's so many things to learn, and we can learn a lot here in this community. I've learned so much
Mhm.
already. So.
Oh,
Hopefully that was helpful to kind of explain. Candida is one of those things where you have to get a little bit deeper than even Candida.
yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense, honey.
Yeah, no, I've just gone down a candida rabbit hole lately. And I'm like, wow, it's a
I
pervasive problem. But they serve a purpose. All these organisms serve a purpose in our body when it comes to digest. It's only when the balance is off, and then they start competing for resources, and so that's when it becomes a problem, right?
I'll be happy to share some very interesting resources with you, honey, because I've been down that rabbit hole. So when I lived in Hawaii, I had cystic acne and it came out all of a sudden. It was like poof, all this acne. And so I was like thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm seeing clients for nutritional therapy. I can't look like this. I look like I'm sick. So I went on this quest of figuring out what am I going to do to heal my skin? And it led me to Candida. And I thought, this is it. This is everything. Everybody's got Candida. And this is the reason for all these illnesses and symptoms. And so that's when the coconut kefir came in because coconuts fermented are a great superfood, a lot of vitamins and minerals. And then you have that bacteria to eat the yeast. So I did a lot with that, and it led me to fast. I stopped eating for 14 days. And if you don't think there's stuff backed up in your colon, let me tell you, I did not eat for 14 days. And I'm not telling anybody to do this. I'm just saying this was my own journey. And I got colonics. And if you've ever had a colonic, honey, so it is a way to clean out your colon. And so it puts water into the colon, and there's a machine where you can see, there's a little window, and you can see everything that's coming out of your body. And for not eating for 14 days, I was shocked at what came out of my body.
Oh my
So
gosh,
that was
delicious.
my candida. I mean, it's gone on and on. But Donna Gates is a great resource if you don't know about Donna Gates' body ecology. She really knows her stuff. She specializes in candida and fermented foods, coconut kefir, sauerkraut, blood type diet. So that's a great book. If you're curious about candida, I would highly recommend studying with her.
Now, can we, you briefly mentioned this, GLP-1 medications. We have a community, a lot of people are either microdosing GLP-1s or taking the medications for weight loss. How do GLP-1s help with both the gut microbiome, candida, be it candida or the gut microbiome? Is it just that it balances the insulin and the sugar, or is there something else? Are there other mechanisms at play?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I feel, and I'm still learning, I started with LEMD, well, started with LEMD 9 weeks ago. So I've been on the GLP-1s. I've been really diving into the research and, trying to learn everything I can so I can educate other people. But what I've gathered so far is that GLP-1s are incredible communicators. I feel like our country has lost communication with each other, lost communication with ourselves. And these molecules are going to go in and help us to remember our innate wisdom to heal our bodies. They're going to let our bodies to the healing that we already know from thousands and thousands of back, long, long ago. It's going to help to communicate again through our systems. And one of the biggest things with the GLP-1 that I've personally noticed is the inflammation. We are so inflamed. We're burnt out, we're inflamed, we're suffering from so many autoimmune like symptoms. Nothing checks the boxes, right? People are don't know what, they go to the doctors, they don't know what's going on with them. It doesn't quite fit into the standard diagnosis, but they just feel horrible. The tests are normal usually, and I feel like the GLP-1 is going to, again, communication, inflammation. They're going to help the body to become less inflamed. And I will say, because I've been in this field 18 years, supplements are great. But if we have a tired liver, again, everything has to go through the liver. We can't just be taking nutritional supplements. I don't care how great they are, because that stuff is not working like it used to, guys. These GLP-1s really help to target all of our systems so that our bodies can feel safe. They do accelerate if you are doing natural therapies. They're just going to really skyrocket everything that you're doing currently. But a lot of people take a lot of, you know, supplements that they've heard about on TikTok, and they try to piece together all these different things, and or they're getting them from Walmart or Walgreens, and it's just full of contaminants, just like what you teach, honey, and what I'm so grateful about LEMD is that we filter the peptides. They're 100% potency. Like we're not going to put anything in our body that isn't of the highest quality. And that is the case too in the natural health space. People will try to sell you so many different things that are either toxic for you, not doing anything, or actually just really expensive pee. And so, yeah, the GLP-1s, I think the biggest thing, honey, I'll share with you a patient. I had a patient on my table in tears yesterday, and he had somebody, he was at the airport, and this guy was this other guy who was like, you know, I'm so tired, I wish I was 20 years younger. And you know what my patient said? He said, I wouldn't go back 20 years because I feel so amazing right now. And that's because of the work we've been doing. And now he's on the GLP-1s. And his wife actually came in today. They brought their son in to see me, and his wife gave me a hug and said, "Thank you so much for giving me my husband back." I mean, that's what I get excited about is giving people hope. And in my 18 years, honey, there is nothing more powerful than these peptides. There is nothing
Oh,
more powerful than these peptides for accelerating healing and for giving people hope. People are so tired and they're so sick and they're so stuck. I haven't found anything better than this, truly. And to give people that hope so that they can start making those better choices, help to reduce the food noise and food anxiety, that's huge. Not have to white knuckle it every time you go to the grocery store or out to eat, or be able to make more intuitive choices because you're not on this blood sugar roller coaster all day, being kind of talked to by your pancreas and your glucose, and everything's all wonky, and you're not able to really make the choices for your body that serve you the best. So I could get into the physiology, but I just love talking about
I
the hope.
I love that. That's actually how I found GLP-1s. I was stuck. I couldn't shed the weight after two children that came back to back. I felt stuck. Nothing else was working. My old tricks weren't working, the protein and the this. And it gave me the hope. I started on it. I was like, well, what do I have to lose? Let's try this. And then as soon as I tried it, the weight was coming off. I was like, I got to share this with as many people as possible. So thank you for touching on the hope aspect. I do want to go back to inflammation. You touched on that. And in the world of longevity, we talk about inflammaging. I mean, inflammation being
Hmm.
the root cause of aging. So can you talk to us about why inflammation is such a big deal? Why do we keep talking about it? And how and what role does it play in aging and longevity? And what can we do with inflammation?
Yeah, so well, inflammation is really the driving force to aging. It's really the body is under stress, is how I like to call it. So when, like we talked about the gut being, if the gut is inflamed, the brain is inflamed. If the brain is inflamed, all the other organs are inflamed. It's just really putting tremendous stress on the organs and our system. Our system cannot heal when it's under stress. So we're basically in a sympathetic fight or flight response all the time. And I tell my patients, you cannot heal in a stressed environment. You have to heal in a parasympathetic environment, so that rest and repair, So when we're in inflammation, we're in survival mode and nothing can really heal in that space. So we have to get the body out of inflammation so that we can begin the healing process. Kind of a simplified way of saying the body is under stress and we can't move forward. So that's why if we want to take all these amazing supplements, it's not going to do much. It's not going to move the needle if our body is so inflamed. So we have to get the inflammation down. And I have never seen anything like the GLPs to do that. I'm just, I'm still like, what is this? Is this real? It's just amazing. And to have it happen so fast, and the GLPs bypass the liver again because it's so stressed out. And so it's able to work in the body immediately. And the body recognizes the GLPs. It's like their friend. It's our friend. It's our friends. And so they can get to work right away and help to bring the safety to the body and to start bringing that stress down. So then the body can go into repair and healing.
Mm. Can you touch on, I mean, we get some, once in a while, we get patients that are not responding well to GLP-1s and they're like, my weight's not coming down, and there's a resistance there. What do you
Mhm.
think is the root cause reason and behind why there's weight loss resistance and even fatigue? Can you touch on
Mhm.
that?
I love that question. You know, healing is a journey, it's not a destination. And people expect like instant results, like give me a pill and I'm gonna get fixed. Like they're used to that, the Western mentality of like I take a pill and I get and a symptom goes away. So I take a GLP-1, I'm supposed to lose weight, right? It's I want it now. But the GLPs are going to work, healing happens from the head down, from the inside out, and from the last event in our health journey. In other words, if we have had stress on a specific organ or dealt with a viral activity or some type of trauma, the body has to heal from the most recent event to that last event, et cetera, back to when we were actually like a little girl or boy. And so when we take the GLP-1s, we have to understand that it takes 3 to 6 months to get stable and 1 to 3 years to get well. So these miracle molecules are going to go heal, right? If we're healing from the head down, well, they're probably going to go to the brain and the nervous system, and then they're going to go to the heart. So maybe the weight isn't the first thing on the priority list, or the pancreas isn't the first thing on the priority list, but that doesn't mean there's not healing taking place. And so I really caution people to have patience and not expect instant results. That's just not, we have to have a lot of grace with ourselves and, check in, work with a nutritionist, see how we can't open up our drainage pathways. How can we support our liver? How can we support our colon and make sure our lymphatic system and our circulation's working well? Make sure we're eating high quality food, making sure we're moving, drinking good water, being around positive people. And so it's not a magic pill. It is a rocket ship for a healthy lifestyle, but it cannot replace all the other things that need to be applied to have long-term health.
Mm, I love that. Now, you mentioned peptide therapy. Besides GLP-1s, are there other peptides that you use in your practice or with your patients to help as part of a holistic health journey?
Absolutely, honey. My favorite is NAD plus. I mean, second to GLP-1 is the NAD plus because so many people, their powerhouse, the powerhouse in the cell, the mitochondria, are so tired and our cell walls can be damaged, and that allows those chemicals and heavy metals to get into the cell and makes us sick. And so the NAD helps to rebuild the mitochondria and help the cell to become healthy again so that it can handle again the terrain that we're exposed to. And so the NAD is just such an incredible therapy to help at the cellular level, to help give our body that energy, that vitality, so that we can heal from the inside. Also helps with energy. Who doesn't want more energy? My energy has been so much better now on the NAD plus, and it also helps with brain power. I can go a whole day and I don't have that brain fatigue. I also, I mean, the Wolverine stack, I don't personally use that one because I'm not there yet, but I do absolutely love the feedback I'm getting from the Wolverine stack. I have a client who was dealing with nerve pain in the neck, back pain, and knee pain, did all the chiropractic, acupuncture, couldn't sleep on her left side from the pain. And she just texted me that it was after 3 weeks completely gone. And so I'm really excited about that because there's so many folks with joint issues, back, neck, knee. And that's actually what led me to peptides in the first place was I was in these longevity communities with these elite doctors and practitioners, and peptides kept coming up in conversations. And I was hearing all these incredible success stories, a lot to do with repairing the joints and tendons and ligaments and all of that. And so I said, where do I get these peptides? And they said, well, you can get them on this website. And I looked at the website, honey, and I was like, oh, I don't think so. And then they were like, I actually paid a lot of money to be in this certification program, which taught us a lot about peptides. And when I asked where to get them, they said, well, you can order them on this website, and then you got to reconstitute them. And here's this chart, to give you an idea. And then if you're pointing your patients to it, you got to be careful for liability. And that was just not where I wanted to go. So I waited a full year until I found EllieMD, and everything changed from there because I knew that this company has the very best peptides in the US, probably worldwide, but we can't say that because we're only in the US. But it was just so important to me to not be dealing with research grade, know that my patients and myself were handled by the experts in this space. Products were filtered for contaminants, 100% purity, and just the care. I mean, I know that when my patients are on these products with LEMD, all the feedback I've ever gotten, honey, was how professional and nice everybody is. The doctors, the front desk, if they have questions, dosing needs to be adjusted, they are handled so professionally and with care. And that means everything to me to have that, to know that I'm giving my patients over in for peptides and that they're just going to be so well taken care of. So thank you for that. I know you're behind all that, honey. So that's
Oh,
that's really second to the purity is just the care, that we receive from, LEMD.
oh, thank you, Dr. Davis. I haven't even gotten through a third of my questions, by the way. I have
Oh,
so
and we're
much to
almost
ask you, and we're almost at time. But I did want to ask you, what's one thing you wish more people truly understood about peptides when it
hmm
comes to long-term wellness overall?
Well, one thing I would love my naturopathic peers to understand is this is for you guys. That peptides restore health at the cellular level. And ultimately, as a doctor, we want our patients to get well fast and safely and as natural as we can. And they're going to get these peptides from somewhere. We might as well help them to get products that are safe and clean and with a lot of care. Um, I also again, help your patients to get the hope that they're looking for so that they can be more compliant and so that they can, start to feel the hope that they need to feel. Um, And in terms, what was I'm sorry, honey, what was the original? I was
How do
looking over
peptides
at my
help? How can
notes.
you incorporate? So they work with the body's natural system, right, and software. But
Mhm.
how can, I guess, health practitioners or normal everyday folks incorporate peptides in their overall wellness journey? I guess what would you like people to know about peptides overall? I think you touched on it.
Well, I mean,
They restore the system at a cellular level. You did mention that, but
I
what else?
think like I mentioned before, honey, in 18 years, and I've dug in deep. I've dug in really deep, and I have lots of tools in my toolbox, my toolkit. And I've used many supplements, cleanses, detoxes. I've starved myself. I've gone on all sorts of different journeys all around the world, and I have never seen anything quite like this in terms of, again, giving folks the hope, accelerating the healing process. And, if you're curious, get the education, binge watch these videos so you can start to be more comfortable. And, what's it going to hurt to try, I guess, it's not going to hurt to try. And we're here if things go a little funky, we'll be here to help to course correct and help you to get the full benefits. And
Yeah.
just do it. Just do it. It's going to
You
be
know,
life-changing for sure.
these peptides have been around for a long time, and they've been very popular amongst the biohacking community and the elite performers and the optimizers. I love that the GLP-1s have shed a light on them, and it's becoming available to the masses, and more people are interested in finding out more. So, love that we're educating our community and having these conversations. It's wonderful. It's this like middle ground between supplements and pharmaceutical drugs. It's just beautiful, and it works with the body's natural process. Now we're almost at time.
Hmm.
Dr. Skye Davis, can you share with us? I mean, we have to bring you back. There's so many more questions I had for you.
I
We
know we
couldn't
could
get
be
through
here
it,
for
but
a whole day.
I know,
So
no, but
much to share.
where can we find you? And do you have any
Yeah.
last words for our community?
Um, I just want to tell everybody how proud I am of you for taking this step. The healing is, again, the greatest gift you could give to yourself and your loved one. I absolutely love families that heal together. I have a couple, well, a husband that started to see me. His wife wanted him to come see me for many years. He finally came to see me after I started with EllieMD because he was resonated with the peptides. And they're just now, he's working out, he's losing weight, he's feeling incredible. And now they have that connection because she's really into health, healthy living. They're working out together. He stopped drinking. They're eating really clean. And she messaged me privately and said, "Thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me to get my husband back. This is like, we love you so much." And so just really proud of everybody for taking the leap. If you haven't taken it yet, just, I think has a frequency and maybe that you're not resonating with it yet, but just tune into yourself and take the leap. I really do hope you do. Okay, I have a little I promised my clients I would give them a secret code at the end. They're getting a special gift. The first 10 people that email me through their portal, their secret code is purple. All right, guys. And then if you want to stay in touch with me, I am giving away to our community 5 educational videos that will go out once a week that will educate more on holistic living, naturopathy in combination with GLP-1s. If you're not on GLP-1s, it would benefit you and anyway, because it's healthy lifestyle. So email us at support@skylife.info. And Skylife is spelled SKYELIFE.info, support@skylife.info. If you email me, I will add you to our video list and we'll send those out as soon as we can.
Okay. I hope you
And
got
more
that,
to
Brenda.
come, honey. More to come.
Yes.
We have a group program launching in July. So stay in touch with us, email us, and we'll keep everybody in the loop.
All right. Awesome. 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 Well, thank you, Dr. Davis. Thank you for being here to educate. We definitely need to do a part two. I mean, I didn't even get through a third. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our community, one of our own guys, one of our own, Dr. Davis. Um, And yes, thank you all of you for tuning in and wanting to learn and educate yourself. Thank you all so much. You're such a beautiful part of this community, and we wouldn't be here without all of you. So thank you. Round of applause to all of you. Have a beautiful, beautiful night. And here's to our longevity and health. Here we go. Cheers, everyone. Mwah. Good night.